The information in this video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. 95%. That's the failure rate of conventional diets. Let me say that again. 95% of people who go on a diet will gain all the weight back and often more within 1 to 5 years. If any other industry in America had a 95% failure rate, it would be shut down. It would be investigated. It would be called what it is, a scam. Yet, the diet industry, a behemoth worth over $70 billion, continues to sell you the same broken promise year after year, wrapped in a new shiny package. Keto, Paleo, Atkins, Weight Watchers, juice cleanses, detox teas, it's all the same story. A story of restriction, deprivation, and ultimately failure. And the worst part? When the diet fails and it is designed to fail, you blame yourself. You think, I didn't have enough willpower. I wasn't disciplined enough. I messed up. You internalize that failure. Let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? It's Sunday night. You're filled with a surge of motivation. This is it. This is the week. You throw out the junk food, you meal prep rows of identical containers with chicken, broccoli, and brown rice. You buy a new water bottle. You tell yourself, no sugar, no carbs, no fun, no exceptions. And for a few days it works. You feel in control. You might even see the number on the scale drop a little. But then life happens. Your boss dumps a stressful project on your desk. Your kid gets sick. You have a terrible night's sleep. And suddenly, that ironclad willpower starts to feel brittle. By Thursday, you're exhausted. You're irritable. All you can think about is a slice of pizza. A real one, not some cauliflower crust monstrosity. On Friday night, you cave. You order the pizza. And the floodgates open. You eat the whole thing. Then you find the ice cream you thought you threw out. And as you sit there, feeling physically sick and emotionally defeated, you make the same old promise. I'll start again on Monday. That cycle, that exhausting soul-crushing loop of restriction, craving, binging, and guilt, that is not a personal failure. It is a biological and psychological certainty. It is the predictable outcome of a flawed system. You have been set up to fail from the very beginning. This video, this entire guide, is your way out. This is the off-ramp from that endless cycle. Over the next several parts, we are going to dismantle every myth the diet industry has ever sold you. We are going to give you a new framework. A sustainable, science-backed approach to nutrition that allows you to lose weight. And more importantly, keep it off for good. Without starvation. Without eliminating entire food groups. Without ever having to start over again. We're going to teach you how to work with your body, not against it. How to understand your hormones, master your hunger, and build a relationship with food that is based on nourishment and enjoyment, not fear and restriction. This isn't about a 30-day challenge. This is about a forever solution. So where do we start? We start by tearing down the central pillar of modern diet culture. The myth of calories in, calories out. You've heard it a million times. Weight loss is simple math. Just burn more calories than you eat. It's repeated by doctors, personal trainers, and fitness influencers as if it's an irrefutable law of physics. And on a very basic thermodynamic level, it's true. A calorie is a unit of energy. If you create an energy deficit, you will lose mass. But here's the billion-dollar secret the diet industry doesn't want you to know. The human body is not a simple furnace. It's a complex, adaptive, hormonal, and psychological system. And treating it like a simple calculator is the single biggest reason you keep failing. Telling someone to just eat less and move more is like telling a financially struggling person to just spend less and earn more. It's technically correct, but utterly useless advice because it ignores the entire system at play. It ignores why you're hungry in the first place. It ignores how different foods affect your hormones and your appetite. It ignores the powerful psychological drivers behind why you eat. Let's get specific. Is 100 calories of avocado the same as 100 calories of a candy bar? According to the simple math of calories in, calories out, yes, 100 is 100. But your body couldn't disagree more. The 100 calories of avocado comes packaged with healthy fats, fiber, and micronutrients. It triggers a slow, stable release of energy. It promotes satiety, that feeling of fullness and satisfaction, by signaling to your brain's hunger hormones, like ghrelin and leptin, that you are nourished. You eat the avocado and you feel full for hours. Now what about the 100 calories from the candy bar? It's pure refined sugar. It hits your bloodstream like a freight train, causing a massive spike in your blood sugar and a huge release of the hormone insulin. Insulin's job is to shuttle that sugar out of your blood and into your cells. One of its other jobs? It's a fat storage hormone. It literally tells your body to stop burning fat for fuel and start storing it. After that initial sugar rush and insulin spike, your blood sugar comes crashing down, often lower than it was before. And what happens when your blood sugar crashes? You get hungry again. You get cravings, specifically for more quick energy sugar. You get irritable, you get that hangry feeling. So the 100 calories from the candy bar not only promoted fat storage, it actively made you hungrier just an hour or two later, setting you up to consume even more calories throughout the day. So were they both 100 calories? Yes. Did they have the exact same effect on your body, your hormones, your hunger, and your likelihood of overeating later? Absolutely not. It's not even close. This is the fundamental flaw. When you focus only on the quantity of calories, you completely ignore the quality. And food quality is what dictates your body's hormonal response. And your hormonal response dictates your appetite, your cravings, your energy levels, and whether your body is in a fat-storing mode or a fat-burning mode. You can be in a calorie deficit, starving yourself on 1,200 calories of processed diet foods, and feel absolutely miserable, lethargic, and ravenously hungry all the time. Your body, sensing starvation, will fight back. It will slow your metabolism down to conserve energy. It will ramp up your hunger hormones, screaming at you to eat. It's a battle you are biologically programmed to lose. Or you could eat 1,800 calories of high-quality protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables. You could feel full, satisfied, and energetic. Your metabolism would be humming along, your hormones would be balanced, and your body would be more than willing to tap into its stored fat for energy. You'd be losing weight without the constant, draining battle against your own biology. The goal is not to white-knuckle your way through a miserable calorie deficit. The goal is to create a nutritional environment in your body that makes a calorie deficit feel effortless and natural, where you're not constantly fighting cravings and gnawing hunger. Because willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. You can't rely on it 24/7 to fight your body's basic biological drives. But you can change the signals you're sending to your body with the quality of the food you eat. You can work with your biology instead of declaring war on it. So, the first step in breaking free from the diet cycle is to shift your focus. Stop obsessing over the calorie number on the back of the package, and start obsessing over the quality of the ingredients on the front. Stop asking, how many calories are in this? And start asking, what will this food do inside my body? Will it nourish me? Will it satisfy me? Will it balance my blood sugar and hormones? Or will it spike my insulin and leave me hungry for more in an hour? This single shift in perspective is the foundation of everything we're going to build. It's the key to turning off the fat storage signals and turning on the fat-burning signals. But it also raises a critical question. If we're not meticulously counting every calorie in a spreadsheet, how do we actually ensure we're in an energy deficit to lose weight? How do we manage portions and structure our meals for sustainable fat loss without the misery of tracking? That is the bridge from theory to practice. And it starts with understanding the power of the 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and how to use them to construct the perfect, satisfying fat-burning plate. Let's start with the undisputed king, the cornerstone of any successful and sustainable fat loss plan: protein. If your meal is a construction project, protein is the foreman. It's the manager, the builder, the one in charge of repairing and rebuilding everything from your muscle tissue after a workout to the enzymes that run every chemical reaction in your body. But for our purposes, for your goal of losing fat without losing your mind, protein has 2 superpowers that make it non-negotiable. First is something called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. Now that sounds complicated, but it's actually incredibly simple, and it's like a secret metabolic weapon. Every time you eat, your body has to spend energy, it has to burn calories just to digest and process that food. Think of it like a metabolic tax. For fat and carbs, that tax is pretty low, maybe 2 to 5%. But for protein, the tax is a whopping 20 to 30%. That means if you eat 100 calories of pure protein, your body might use up to 30 of those calories just breaking it down. You're getting a free calorie burning boost with every single protein-rich meal. It's the only macronutrient that actively revs up your metabolism just by eating it. This isn't some gimmick from a late-night infomercial. It is a fundamental law of human physiology. By simply prioritizing protein on your plate, you are turning your body into a slightly more efficient calorie-burning furnace, 24/7. But its second superpower is arguably even more important for long-term success. Satiety. That's the feeling of being full, satisfied, and not wanting to raid the pantry an hour after dinner. Protein is, by a huge margin, the most satiating macronutrient. It triggers the release of hormones in your gut, like peptide YY and GLP-1, that send powerful signals directly to your brain saying, "Hey, we're good down here." Shut down the hunger signals. We've got what we need. This is why a breakfast of eggs and Greek yogurt will keep you full for hours, while a breakfast of a sugary cereal and a glass of juice will have you looking for a snack by 10 a.m. One meal was a suggestion to your hunger, the other was a command. By building your meals around protein, you are not fighting hunger with willpower. You are eliminating hunger at the source. You're working with your body's own signaling system, not against it. So what does this look like on a plate? We're talking about things like a grilled chicken breast, a beautiful salmon fillet, lean ground turkey, or a good quality steak. But it's not just for carnivores. We're talking about eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt. And for the plant-based folks, we're talking about lentils, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, and edamame. The goal is to have a significant source of protein with every single meal. A simple, no-scale needed guide? Aim for a portion that's about the size and thickness of the palm of your hand. That's your foundation. Start there always. Next, let's talk about the most misunderstood, most wrongly vilified nutrient on the planet: fat. For decades, we were told a lie. We were told that eating fat makes you fat. The low-fat craze of the 80s and 90s swept the nation, and food companies responded by stripping the fat out of everything: yogurt, cookies, salad dressing, and replacing it with something far worse: sugar and refined carbohydrates. And what happened? As a nation, we got fatter and sicker than ever before. It was a catastrophic public health failure. The truth is, dietary fat does not inherently make you fat. In fact, it's absolutely essential for a healthy, thriving body. Fat is not just a source of energy. It's a structural component of every single cell membrane you have. It's the CEO of your hormonal system, responsible for producing critical hormones like testosterone and estrogen. It's the transportation system for fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. You can eat all the vitamin-rich salads you want, but without some fat to go with them, you won't be able to absorb those vital nutrients. Your brain itself is nearly 60% fat. It needs dietary fat to function properly, to maintain focus, clarity, and mood. So the villain wasn't fat itself, it was the type of fat and the overconsumption of it, often paired with refined carbs. We need to differentiate. On one side, you have the heroes, the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Think of the creamy richness of avocado, the satisfying crunch of almonds and walnuts, the nutty flavor of olive oil drizzled on a salad, the omega-3 powerhouses in salmon and chia seeds. These fats reduce inflammation, support heart health, and contribute to that deep, long-lasting feeling of satisfaction after a meal. They slow down digestion, keeping you fuller for longer and stabilizing your blood sugar. On the other side, you have the villains, primarily man-made trans fats, found in things like shortening, margarine, and many ultra-processed baked goods and fried foods. These are the fats to avoid. The key is not to fear fat, but to be smart about it. A meal without fat is a bland, unsatisfying meal that will leave you craving more. Fat carries flavor. It provides a mouthfeel and richness that makes food enjoyable. And enjoyment is a critical component of sustainability. A simple portion guide? For oils and butters, aim for a portion about the size of your thumb. For nuts and seeds, a small closed handful. And finally, we arrive at the third macronutrient, the one that is currently the public enemy #1 in many diet circles: carbohydrates. Carbs have been demonized, blamed for everything from weight gain to afternoon slumps. And just like with fat, the conversation has been stripped of all nuance. The truth is, carbohydrates are not your enemy. They are your body's preferred, most easily accessible source of fuel. They are the premium, high-octane gasoline for your engine. Your brain runs almost exclusively on glucose, which comes from carbs. Your muscles need glycogen, the stored form of carbs, to power you through a workout, a walk with the dog, or just a busy day of errands. The problem isn't carbs. It's the type and quantity of carbs we've been eating. We need to think of carbs in two categories: the fast-burning kindling and the slow-burning logs. The kindling is your simple, refined carbohydrates. Think white bread, sugary cereals, cookies, soda, and fruit juice. When you eat these, they burn hot and fast. They dump a massive amount of sugar into your bloodstream all at once. Your body panics, releasing a huge wave of the hormone insulin to shuttle all that sugar out of your blood and into your cells. This causes the infamous blood sugar crash, leaving you feeling tired, foggy, and intensely craving more of that fast-burning kindling to get your energy back up. It is a vicious, energy-sapping, fat-storing cycle. The slow-burning logs are your complex, fiber-rich carbohydrates. These are your friends. Think of the deep satisfaction of a baked sweet potato, the nutty texture of quinoa, the hearty comfort of a bowl of oatmeal, brown rice, beans, and all vegetables. These carbs are packaged with fiber, which slows down digestion dramatically. They don't dump sugar into your bloodstream. They release it slowly, like a steady drip of energy. There's no spike and therefore no crash. You get sustained energy, a stable mood, and a happy, well-fed gut microbiome, which we'll talk more about later. These are the carbs that fuel your life without leading to fat storage. Your portion guide for these starchy, slow-burning carbs? A cupped handful. So now let's put it all together. Let's build that perfect, satisfying fat-burning plate we talked about. You don't need a food scale. You don't need a calorie tracking app. You just need your hands and your plate. First, anchor your meal with your palm-sized portion of protein. Make it the star of the show. This is non-negotiable. Second, add your thumb-sized portion of healthy fats. Maybe it's a drizzle of olive oil, a few slices of avocado, or a sprinkle of seeds. This adds flavor and hormonal support. Third, add your cupped handful portion of slow-burning, high-fiber carbohydrates. This provides the sustained energy to power you through your day. Now you might be looking at that plate and thinking, it looks a little empty. There's a huge space left. And that is where the secret weapon comes in. That is where we fill the rest of the plate with volume, with color, with the micronutrients that truly supercharge the whole system. We've built the engine of our fat loss machine with these 3 macronutrients. But what about the oil, the coolant, and the spark plugs? The stuff that prevents the system from breaking down and unlocks its true potential? That is the world of micronutrients, and it's the key to crushing cravings for good. Vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. These aren't just buzzwords on a cereal box. They are the microscopic managers running the entire factory of your body. They're the difference between an engine that sputters and stalls, and one that roars with power. And the biggest lie we've been sold about weight loss is to ignore them. We've been taught to count calories, to obsess over grams of fat and carbs, while completely missing the root cause of our uncontrollable cravings. This is a concept called hidden hunger. It's a game-changing idea. Your body isn't just a calorie furnace. It's a highly intelligent, nutrient-seeking machine. When you feel that sudden desperate urge for a bag of salty chips or a rich, decadent piece of chocolate, it's often not your willpower failing. It's your body's emergency broadcast system, screaming for a specific nutrient it desperately needs. The problem is, our modern brains have been trained to misinterpret these signals. Think about it. For thousands of years, a craving for something salty would lead our ancestors to mineral-rich foods. A craving for something sweet would lead them to vitamin-packed fruits. Today, that same signal sends us straight to the pantry for a potato chip loaded with industrial sodium, or a candy bar full of high-fructose corn syrup. We satisfy the surface-level craving, but the underlying nutrient deficiency remains. An hour later, the craving is back, even stronger this time. Your body is still sending the SOS, but you keep sending it the wrong supplies. This creates a brutal, vicious cycle. You eat food that's high in calories but stripped of essential micronutrients. Your body, starved of the tools it needs to function, sends out powerful craving signals. You interpret this as hunger, so you eat more of the same nutrient-poor food. You end up overfed but undernourished, gaining weight while your body is literally starving on a cellular level. It's a trap. And the processed food industry built it. They have perfected the art of creating foods that are calorie-dense and nutrient-empty. They engineer products to hit that bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat that our brains are hardwired to love, but they strip out the very things that would signal to our body that we're full and satisfied. The fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, all gone. They've essentially disabled the off switch for your appetite. Breaking this cycle and taking back control begins with understanding what your body is actually asking for. It's about learning to speak its language. Let's start with one of the biggest culprits, magnesium. This is often called the calming mineral. It's involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, including regulating blood sugar, managing stress, and promoting deep sleep. Sound important? It is. And up to 80% of Americans are deficient in it. What's one of the most common signs of magnesium deficiency? an intense craving for chocolate. That's not a coincidence. Cacao, the raw form of chocolate, is one of the richest natural sources of magnesium on the planet. Your body isn't craving a Hershey's bar. It's craving the magnesium that its ancestors knew could be found in the cacao bean. When you're stressed, your body burns through magnesium like crazy. So that stressful day at work that ends with you face first in a pint of chocolate ice cream? That's not a moral failing. It's a physiological response. Or what about that insatiable desire for something salty and crunchy? Before you tear open a bag of chips, consider zinc. Zinc is a master regulator of your hormones, including leptin. Leptin is the I'm full hormone. It tells your brain that you've had enough to eat. When your zinc levels are low, your leptin signaling gets all messed up. Your brain never gets the message to stop eating, leading to overconsumption and cravings, particularly for salty and sugary foods. Shellfish, red meat, and pumpkin seeds are packed with zinc. It's no wonder a juicy steak can feel so much more satisfying than a bag of pretzels. Let's talk about energy. Do you constantly feel tired and reach for sugary snacks or a second cup of coffee for a quick pick-me-up? You might not need more caffeine. You might need more B vitamins. The B vitamin complex, B6, B12, folate, are the spark plugs of your metabolism. They are absolutely critical for converting the food you eat into usable energy. When you're deficient, your energy production grinds to a halt. Your body, desperate for a quick fuel source, screams for sugar and refined carbohydrates. It's looking for the cheapest, fastest-burning fuel it can find. But this just leads to a blood sugar spike and an inevitable crash, leaving you more tired than before and trapped in a cycle of sugar cravings. Getting enough B vitamins from sources like eggs, leafy greens, and meat is like giving your body a clean, steady-burning energy source instead of a flash in the pan. And we can't forget iron. We all know low iron leads to fatigue, but it also messes with your brain chemistry. Iron is crucial for producing dopamine, the neurotransmitter of reward and motivation. When iron is low, dopamine levels can drop. This can leave you feeling unmotivated, apathetic, and you guessed it, craving things that give you a quick dopamine hit. Sugar, junk food, highly palatable, processed garbage. Your brain is just trying to feel good, and it's using the only tools you've given it. Now you might be thinking, great, I'll just go buy a bunch of supplements. And while supplements can have their place, it's a short-sighted solution. It's like trying to build a car by just throwing a pile of parts on the floor. It doesn't work. Nutrients in whole foods exist in a complex, intelligent design called the food matrix. The magnesium in a handful of almonds comes packaged with fiber, healthy fats, vitamin E, and dozens of other phytonutrients. All of these components work together. The fiber slows down digestion, the fat helps you absorb the vitamins, and the other nutrients act as cofactors, helping your body actually utilize the magnesium. You cannot replicate this synergy in a pill. A pill gives you the ingredient. Whole food gives you the entire perfectly written recipe. The goal isn't to become a walking encyclopedia of vitamins and minerals. The goal is to fundamentally shift your perspective. From now on, when you look at a plate of food, I want you to stop asking, how many calories does this have? And start asking, how many nutrients does this have? Is this food adding value to my body? Or is it just filling a void? Is it giving my engine the premium fuel, the high-grade oil, and the coolant it needs to run at peak performance? Or is it just cheap, dirty fuel that's going to clog up the system? This single question, is this nourishing me, is more powerful than any calorie-counting app on the planet. It reframes weight loss from a battle of deprivation and willpower to an act of self-respect and nourishment. But knowing what to look for is only half the battle. The modern supermarket is a minefield specifically designed to confuse you, to trick you into buying those nutrient-poor products we talked about. So how do you navigate it? How do you tell the real, nourishing foods from the imposters hiding behind fancy packaging and misleading health claims? It starts with learning to read the language of food. Not the marketing slogans on the front of the box, but the hidden code on the back. That hidden code isn't written in a foreign language. It's written in plain English, but it's designed to be confusing, boring, and overlooked. Food marketers spend billions of dollars on the front of the package, the vibrant colors, the pictures of sunny farms, the bold health claims, all to distract you from the two things that actually matter: the nutrition facts panel and the ingredients list. Think of the front of the box as a movie trailer. It's all flash, explosions, and promises of an epic adventure. The back of the box? That's the actual script. It tells you the real story, with all the plot holes and disappointing characters. Before we dive into that script, Let's first dismantle the 3 biggest lies you'll find in the trailer. The first, and maybe the most deceptive, is the phrase all natural. What does that even mean? The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has no formal definition for it. It's basically a marketing free-for-all. A company can pump a product full of high-fructose corn syrup, a highly processed sweetener that does not exist in nature, and slap an all-natural label on it because its base components originally came from corn. Arsenic is all natural. Crude oil is all natural. That label tells you absolutely nothing about whether a food is healthy, processed, or good for your weight loss goals. It's a meaningless, feel-good phrase designed to make you feel safe. The second big lie is low-fat. This is a leftover relic from the 1990s fat-phobic craze, and it's one of the most damaging myths in modern nutrition. When food manufacturers remove fat from a product like yogurt or a salad dressing, what do they lose? Flavor and texture. The food becomes bland, watery, and unsatisfying. So what do they do to make it taste good again? They dump in tons of sugar, salt, and chemical thickeners. You pick up a low-fat strawberry yogurt, thinking you're making a healthy choice. You flip it over and find it has more sugar per serving than a can of soda. You've traded healthy, satiating fats for empty, inflammatory sugar that will spike your blood sugar, leave you hungry in an hour, and contribute directly to fat storage. It's a nutritional bait and switch of the highest order. And the third lie, the one that gets so many well-intentioned people, is made with whole grains. This is a masterclass in misleading phrasing. The key word here is with. A cereal can be 99% refined flour and sugar, but if they sprinkle in a single gram of whole grain oat flour, they can legally put "made with whole grains" in giant letters on the front of the box. You see a picture of a golden wheat field and think you're getting fiber and nutrients. But when you check the real story, the ingredients list, you find the first ingredient is refined wheat, and the second is sugar. You're essentially eating a frosted flake with a tiny speck of whole grain dust on it. So, how do we escape the marketing circus on the front? We become detectives. We ignore the trailer and we go straight to the script. Your first stop is the nutrition facts panel. The single most important and most manipulated number on this entire panel is the very first one serving size. This is their secret weapon. They know you're going to glance at the calories, so they make the serving size ridiculously small to make the calorie count look better. Ever look at one of those single serving bags of chips or a medium-sized bottle of iced tea? You assume the whole thing is one serving. You're meant to, but look closely. That bag of chips is 2.5 servings. That bottle of tea is 2 servings. So that 150 calories you thought you were eating is actually 375. That 20 grams of sugar is actually 40. They are banking on the fact that you won't do the math. From now on, the first thing you do is check the serving size and the servings per container. Then you do the math. You multiply the calories, the fat, the sugar by the number of servings you are actually going to eat, which is usually the whole package. This one habit alone will be a complete game changer. Next, let's talk sugar. This is the big one. On the label, you'll see total sugars, and right below it, includes added sugars. This is a relatively new addition to the label, and it is your absolute best friend. Total sugars include sugars that occur naturally in food, like the lactose in milk or the fructose in an apple. These are generally fine because they come packaged with fiber, vitamins, and minerals that slow down their absorption. Added sugars are the enemy. This is the refined sugar, the high fructose corn syrup, the cane juice, that manufacturers add in purely for taste. This is the stuff that drives insulin spikes, inflammation, and fat storage. Your goal for sustainable weight loss should be to get your added sugars as close to zero as possible. If a product has a high number in the added sugars column, it doesn't matter what the front of the box says. Put it back on the shelf. But the nutrition panel is still only half the story. The ultimate truth, the final verdict on any food, is found in the ingredients list. This is where nothing can hide. There are 2 simple, unbreakable rules here. Rule number 1. The order matters. Ingredients are listed by weight, from most to least. So the first 3 ingredients make up the bulk of what you're eating. If you pick up that whole grain bread and the first ingredient is enriched wheat flour, that's just a fancy term for white flour, and the second ingredient is sugar or high fructose corn syrup, you know it's a lie. The whole grains are a tiny afterthought. You're eating a sugar sandwich. The first ingredient should always be the whole food you think you're buying. For peanut butter, it should be peanuts. For whole wheat bread, it should be whole wheat flour. Rule number 2 is the pronunciation rule, or what I like to call the grandma rule. Read the ingredients list. If your grandma wouldn't recognize it as food, Or if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be eating it. Things like potassium sorbate, sodium erythorbate, monoglycerides, artificial colors like red 40 or yellow 5. These are not food. They are industrial chemicals, preservatives, and emulsifiers designed to keep a product fresh on a shelf for months or even years. Real food goes bad. That's a feature, not a bug. A long, complicated ingredients list filled with chemical names is the single biggest red flag that you are holding a highly processed, nutrient-poor, pseudo-food that will sabotage your weight loss efforts. And be on the lookout for sugar's many disguises. The industry knows you're looking for the word sugar, so they hide it under at least 60 different names. High fructose corn syrup is the most famous, but there's also dextrose, fructose, maltose, sucrose, barley malt, rice syrup, agave nectar, and cane juice crystals. They all mean the same thing to your body: an insulin spike and a signal to store fat. If you see multiple types of sugar in the first 5 ingredients, that product is a dessert no matter how many health claims are on the box. So let's make this practical. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become a food detective on your next trip to the grocery store. Pick up 3 items you normally buy because you think they're healthy. Maybe it's a granola bar, a box of cereal, or a bottle of salad dressing. Ignore the front completely. Turn it over. First, check the serving size. Are you being tricked? Second, look at the added sugars. How high is that number? And finally, read the first 5 ingredients. Is sugar in there? Is the first ingredient what you thought it was? Are there words you can't pronounce? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's about pulling back the curtain and seeing the food for what it truly is, not what the multi-billion-dollar marketing machine wants you to believe it is. Once you learn to read this code, you can never unsee it. The grocery store aisles transform. You're no longer a passive consumer falling for flashy promises. You're an informed agent, armed with the truth, making conscious choices that align with your goals. You're now equipped to separate the real fuel from the fake filler. But this leads to the next critical question. Once you've cleared out the imposters, what do you actually build your diet with? How do you construct a plate that keeps you full, energized, and consistently burning fat? It's time to talk about the 3 pillars of nutrition: the macronutrients, protein, fat, carbohydrates. For decades, these 3 words have been at the center of a nutritional war. We've been told to go low-fat, then low-carb. We've been told to eat nothing but protein, or that protein will destroy our kidneys. It's a battlefield of conflicting advice designed to sell you books and diet plans. But today we're calling a truce. Because these aren't enemies. They aren't heroes. They are tools. They are the building blocks of every single cell in your body. And understanding how to use them is the single most important skill for mastering your metabolism and achieving sustainable weight loss. Think of building a house. Protein is the bricks and the lumber, the very structure of the building. Without it, the whole thing collapses. Carbohydrates are the energy for the construction crew. The immediate, high-octane fuel they need to lift the beams and hammer the nails. And fats? Fats are the complex systems within the walls, the electrical wiring, the plumbing, the insulation that regulates temperature and allows for communication. You wouldn't build a house with only bricks or only wiring. You need all 3 working in harmony. Your body is no different. Let's start with the most critical, most misunderstood, and most powerful macronutrient for fat loss: protein. If you take only one thing away from this entire series, let it be this: prioritize protein. It is your non-negotiable anchor for success. Why? For 2 game-changing reasons. First, satiety. That's the feeling of being full and satisfied. Protein is, calorie for calorie, the most satiating macronutrient. Eating a chicken breast will keep you fuller, for longer, than eating the same number of calories from a bagel. This isn't just a feeling. It's a biological fact. It triggers the release of hormones like PA and GLP-1 that tell your brain, hey, we're good down here. You can stop searching for food. This single-handedly crushes cravings and makes it effortless to eat less without feeling deprived. But here's the secret weapon: the thermic effect of food, or TEF. Sounds complicated, but it's simple. Your body has to burn calories to digest the food you eat. It's like a processing fee. For fats and carbs, this fee is pretty low, maybe 3 to 10%. But for protein, the fee is a whopping 20 to 30%. This means if you eat 100 calories of pure protein, your body uses 20 to 30 of those calories just to break it down and use it. You are literally burning more calories just by choosing protein. It is the closest thing we have to a free food. The second reason protein is king is muscle preservation. When you're in a calorie deficit to lose weight, your body is looking for energy. It can get that energy from two places: your fat stores, which is what you want, or your muscle tissue, which is a disaster. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It's the tissue that burns calories even when you're sitting on the couch. Every ounce of muscle you lose slows down your metabolism, making it harder to lose weight and easier to gain it back. This is the classic skinny fat trap so many dieters fall into. They lose weight on the scale, but they lose both fat and precious muscle, ending up with a slower metabolism and a softer physique than when they started. Protein acts as a shield for your muscles. By eating enough protein, you send a powerful signal to your body. Hands off the muscle. Burn the fat instead. So where do you get it? We're talking about high-quality sources like chicken breast, turkey, lean beef, fish like salmon and tuna, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and for plant-based options, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, and edamame. A simple goal is to include a palm-sized portion of a primary protein source with every single meal. No exceptions. Now let's talk about the nutrient we were all taught to fear: fat. The 1990s were a dark time for fat. The fat-free craze swept the nation. We replaced butter with margarine, whole milk with skim, and bought fat-free cookies and cakes that were loaded with sugar and chemicals. And what happened? We got fatter and sicker than ever before. It was one of the biggest nutritional blunders in modern history, because we demonized a nutrient that is absolutely essential for human life. You need fat. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. Every single cell membrane in your body is made from fat. You cannot produce critical hormones, including testosterone and estrogen, which are vital for metabolism and body composition, without dietary fat. Fat is also the vehicle that transports crucial vitamins A, D, E, and K through your body. Without fat in your meal, you can eat all the carrots in the world and you won't absorb that vitamin A. Eating fat doesn't inherently make you fat. Overeating calories makes you fat. The key is focusing on the right kinds of fat. Think of them in 3 categories. The heroes are the unsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats found in olive oil, avocados, and almonds, and polyunsaturated fats, like the famous omega-3s found in fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds. These are anti-inflammatory powerhouses that support heart and brain health. Make these your primary fat sources. A quarter of an avocado with your eggs, a thumb-sized drizzle of olive oil on your salad, a small handful of nuts for a snack. Then there are the fats that are okay in moderation. Saturated fats. These are found in animal products like butter, cheese, and red meat, as well as coconut oil. For years, these were the ultimate villain, blamed for heart disease. But modern research shows the picture is far more complicated, and in the context of a healthy diet, moderate amounts are perfectly fine. The true, undisputed villain of the story is the trans fat. These are artificial fats, created in a lab by blasting vegetable oil with hydrogen atoms to make it solid. You'll see it on labels as partially hydrogenated oil. It's found in cheap margarine, packaged baked goods, and many fried foods. There is no safe level of consumption for this stuff. It is poison. It increases bad cholesterol, decreases good cholesterol, and creates massive inflammation. This is the only fat you should actively eliminate. Finally, we arrive at the most controversial, most debated macronutrient of all: carbohydrates. The low-carb keto craze has convinced millions that carbs are the enemy, that they are the sole reason for weight gain. And if you're talking about a certain type of carb, they're not entirely wrong. But lumping all carbs together is like saying all liquids are the same. A glass of water and a glass of gasoline will have very different effects on your body. The difference lies in one word: fiber. This is the dividing line between good and evil in the world of carbs. We have simple carbs and complex carbs. Simple carbs are the gasoline. They are sugars that have been stripped of all their fiber and nutrients. Think white bread, white pasta, candy, soda, and fruit juice. When you eat them, they hit your bloodstream like a tidal wave. Your blood sugar skyrockets, your body releases a massive amount of the fat storage hormone, insulin, to deal with the threat. The insulin shoves all that sugar into your cells for storage, often as fat, and your blood sugar then crashes, leaving you tired, foggy, and craving more sugar. It's a vicious cycle of spikes, crashes, and fat storage. Complex carbs, on the other hand, are the slow-burning logs. These are carbs in their whole natural state with all their fiber intact. Think sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, oats, beans, lentils, and all vegetables. The fiber acts like a net, slowing down the digestion and absorption of the sugar. Instead of a tidal wave, you get a gentle, steady stream of energy released into your bloodstream. No massive insulin spike. No crash. Just sustained energy for hours, keeping you full, focused, and fueling your workouts. And that fiber? It's a superpower. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which are critical for everything from digestion to mood. It adds bulk to your food, making you feel physically full. An apple will always be more filling than apple juice. A potato will always be more filling than a potato chip. So the strategy isn't to eliminate carbs, it's to be smart about them. It's to swap the simple for the complex. Ditch the white bread for whole grain. Swap the sugary cereal for oatmeal. Choose a sweet potato over French fries. Fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, spinach, and bell peppers. For your starchy carbs like rice or potatoes, a portion the size of your cupped hand is a great starting point for most meals. So there you have it. The 3 pillars: protein for satiety and muscle, fat for hormones and health, and fibrous carbs for energy and fullness. It's not about exclusion, it's about balance. The perfect fat loss plate has all 3 working together. A piece of grilled salmon, a side of roasted sweet potato, and a large serving of steamed asparagus drizzled with olive oil. That is a meal that builds muscle, optimizes hormones, and provides slow-burning energy. It's a meal that works with your body, not against it. But now we face the elephant in the room. We know what to put on our plate. But the billion-dollar question that every diet tries to answer remains: how much? How do we take this knowledge of a perfect plate and translate it into consistent, predictable fat loss? To do that, we have to pull back the curtain on the most feared concept in all of nutrition, the calorie. It's the most misunderstood, most maligned, and most powerful concept in the entire world of weight management. For decades, it's been treated like a villain, a tiny number on a label that holds the power to make us feel guilty, anxious, or defeated. But the calorie is not your enemy. It's not a moral judgment. It's simply a unit of measurement. That's it. It's like a mile or a gallon or a dollar. It's a unit of energy. And just like you can't manage your finances without understanding dollars, you can't effectively manage your body composition without understanding energy. The fundamental law that governs all of this is brutally, beautifully simple. It's called the first law of thermodynamics, but we can call it the energy balance equation. It states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. In the context of your body, this means if you consume more energy or calories than your body expends, you will store that excess energy. And the body's preferred way to store energy is as body fat. Conversely, if you consume less energy than your body expends, your body will be forced to find that missing energy elsewhere. It will pull it from its reserves, from your body fat. This is what we call a calorie deficit, and it is the one non-negotiable requirement for fat loss. Every single diet that has ever worked, from Atkins to keto to paleo to Weight Watchers, has worked for one reason and one reason only: it successfully put the person into a sustained calorie deficit. They all do it in different ways. Some cut out carbs, some cut out fats, some use point systems, but the underlying mechanism is always the same. They get you to eat less energy than you burn. Understanding this is like being handed the key to the entire kingdom. It frees you from the dogma of good foods and bad foods, and allows you to see nutrition through the clear, unbiased lens of physics. So the billion-dollar question becomes: how do we know how much energy our body is burning? This isn't some unknowable cosmic mystery. It's a number we can actually calculate. It's called your total daily energy expenditure, or TDE. Think of your TDE as your personal energy budget. It's the total number of calories you burn in a 24-hour period. If you eat exactly your TDE, your weight will stay the same. If you eat more, you'll gain. If you eat less, you'll lose. Simple. But what's fascinating is what actually makes up that budget. Your TDE is not just about how much you exercise. In fact, for most people, formal exercise is a surprisingly small part of it. Your TDE is made up of 4 distinct components. The first, and by far the largest, is your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. This is the baseline. Think of it as your coma calories. It's the amount of energy your body needs just to stay alive, to keep your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your brain firing, and your organs functioning, even if you were to lie in bed all day and do absolutely nothing. Your BMR accounts for a massive 60 to 70% of your total daily calorie burn. It's primarily determined by factors you can't really control, like your age, sex, height, and most importantly, the amount of lean body mass you have. More muscle means a higher BMR. This is the silent metabolic engine running in the background 24/7. The second component is the thermic effect of food, or TEF. This is the energy your body uses to digest, absorb, and process the food you eat. Yes, you burn calories just by eating. It's not a huge amount, typically around 10% of your total burn, but it's significant. And here's a pro tip that connects back to our perfect plate. Protein has a much higher thermic effect than carbs or fats. Your body has to work about 20 to 30% harder to break down protein. This is one of the many secret reasons why a high-protein diet is so effective for fat loss. You get a small free metabolic boost with every protein-rich meal. The third component is the one everyone focuses on: exercise activity thermogenesis, or EAT. This is the energy you burn during planned, intentional exercise. Your run, your weightlifting session, your cycling class. This is, of course, incredibly important for your health, for building muscle, and for cardiovascular fitness. But in the grand scheme of your 24-hour energy budget, it's often a smaller piece of the pie than people imagine. A grueling 1-hour workout might burn a few hundred calories, which can, unfortunately, be erased in minutes with a few handfuls of trail mix or a high-calorie coffee drink. This is why the phrase, "you can't outrun a bad diet," is so painfully true. We tend to vastly overestimate how many calories we burn through exercise and vastly underestimate how many we consume. This brings us to the fourth and arguably the most powerful component of your energy budget. It's the secret weapon of sustainable weight loss. It's called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. NEAT is all the energy you burn from activities that aren't sleeping, eating, or formal exercise. It's the calories you burn from walking to your car, taking the stairs, fidgeting at your desk, doing chores around the house, typing, even just standing instead of sitting. Individually, these actions seem trivial, but they add up dramatically. NEAT is the most variable part of your TDA, and it can differ by up to 2,000 calories a day between two people of the same size. This is the person you know who seems to eat whatever they want and never gains weight. They're not a genetic freak. They're very likely just a high NEAT person. They're constantly moving, fidgeting, and on their feet. And this is where you have incredible power. By consciously choosing to take the stairs, to park further away, to get a standing desk, or to simply pace while on a phone call, you can significantly increase your daily calorie burn without ever setting foot in a gym. Increasing your NEAT is one of the most effective and sustainable ways to increase the calories outside of the equation. So you have these four things: your BMR, the cost of living; TEF, the cost of eating; EAT, the cost of formal exercise; and NEAT, the cost of everything else. Together, they make up your total daily energy expenditure, your personal, unique energy budget. Now let's put this into a real-world context. Imagine two friends, Alex and Ben. Both are the same age, height, and weight, and both want to lose 20 pounds. Ben decides to go the clean eating route. He cuts out all processed foods, sugar, and junk. He eats only chicken breast, broccoli, brown rice, avocados, nuts, and olive oil. He feels great, but after a month, the scale hasn't budged. He's frustrated. He's eating all the right foods, so why isn't it working? Alex, on the other hand, takes a different approach. He learns about energy balance. He goes online and uses a TDE calculator. He plugs in his age, sex, height, weight, and activity level. The calculator estimates that his maintenance budget, his TDE, is around 2,500 calories per day. Alex decides to create a modest deficit, aiming for 2,000 calories a day. He focuses on building meals like the perfect plate we talked about, high in protein, loaded with veggies. But he also understands that no food is inherently bad. So, if he wants a cookie after dinner and it fits within his 2,000 calorie budget, he has it guilt-free. He tracks his intake, not to be obsessive but to be aware. After a month, Alex is consistently down 5 pounds. What's the difference? Ben, despite his clean intentions, was unknowingly eating in a calorie surplus. Healthy fats like avocados, nuts, and olive oil are incredibly calorie-dense. A couple of handfuls of almonds and a generous pour of olive oil on his salad were enough to push his energy intake over his tea. His intentions were perfect, but his math was off. Alex succeeded because he wasn't just focused on food quality. He was also mindful of food quantity. He understood the physics. He was managing his budget. This is the power of knowing your numbers. It transforms you from a passive dieter, hoping for the best, into the active architect of your own results. So, how do you find your number? It's simple. Open a web browser and search for a TDE calculator. You'll find dozens. They're all slightly different, but they'll get you in the same ballpark. Be honest with your activity level. Sedentary means a desk job with little to no formal exercise. Don't pick highly active just because you hit the gym 3 times a week. The number it spits out is your estimated maintenance. It is your starting point. It is not gospel, but it is the most important piece of data you can have. It's the map that shows you where you are right now. With this number, the entire game changes. The confusion melts away. You now know the approximate budget you're working with every single day. You have the single most critical piece of information required to control your body composition. We've established the budget. We've cracked the code of calories out. But knowing your maintenance level is only half the battle. We're here to lose fat, and that means we must create a deficit. So the real question now becomes, how do we do it? How large should that deficit be? How do we subtract calories from our budget without feeling starved, crashing our energy levels and setting ourselves up for failure? How do we turn our maintenance budget into a fat loss machine? The answer is not to take a sledgehammer to your calorie budget. That's the single biggest mistake people make. They get motivated, they want results yesterday, so they slash their intake by 1,000, 1,200, even 1,500 calories. They go from eating 3,000 calories a day to 1,200. And for a week, maybe two, they feel like a superhero. The scale is dropping fast, they're fueled by pure willpower. But this isn't a strategy, it's a ticking time bomb. Think of your metabolism as a campfire you're trying to keep burning brightly all day. Your maintenance calories are the amount of wood you need to keep that fire roaring steadily. If you suddenly throw on only a few twigs, what happens? The fire sputters. It shrinks. It conserves its energy, burning low and slow, trying desperately not to go out. Your body does the exact same thing. A massive calorie cut sends a panic signal to your brain, thinks there's a famine. So it slams the brakes on your metabolism to conserve energy. Your energy levels plummet. Your non-essential functions like growing healthy hair and nails slow down. Your hormones go haywire. The hunger signals become a deafening primal scream that you cannot ignore. And most importantly, your body starts cannibalizing precious, metabolically active muscle tissue for energy, because it's easier to access than body fat in a state of emergency. You lose weight, yes, but you're losing the very engine that burns calories in the first place, making it exponentially harder to keep the weight off later. It's a physiological trap. So what's the answer? We need a deficit that's effective, but also respectful. A deficit that your body doesn't perceive as a 5-alarm fire. We're looking for the Goldilocks zone. Not too big, not too small, but just right. For most people, a great starting point is a deficit of 15 to 25% below your total daily energy expenditure, your maintenance number. Let's use our example from before. If your maintenance is 2,500 calories, a 20% deficit would be 500 calories. This puts your daily target at 2,000 calories. This is a moderate, sustainable deficit. It's large enough to stimulate consistent fat loss, averaging around 1 pound per week for most, but small enough that it won't trigger those metabolic alarm bells. It allows you to lose fat while preserving muscle, maintaining energy levels, and not feeling like you're constantly at war with your own body. This isn't a race to the bottom of the scale. It's a strategic, long-term mission. Now we have our target. We know we need to create, say, a 500-calorie gap between what we burn and what we eat. How do we do it? There are 2 levers we can pull. Lever 1 is nutrition, consuming fewer calories. Lever 2 is activity, burning more calories. The magic, the truly sustainable, life-changing magic, happens when you pull both levers at the same time. You've heard the phrase, you can't outrun a bad diet. And it's absolutely true. Trying to create a 500-calorie deficit through exercise alone is incredibly difficult and time-consuming. That's a 5-mile run for a 180-pound person, every single day. But trying to do it with diet alone can feel restrictive and lead to that dreaded metabolic slowdown we talked about. By combining them, you get the best of both worlds. Maybe you create a 300-calorie deficit from your diet and burn an extra 200 calories through a brisk walk, a gym session, or just being more active. This approach is not only more manageable, but it's synergistic. The diet ensures you're in a deficit, while the exercise helps protect and even build muscle, which keeps your metabolism humming. So let's start with the most powerful lever, nutrition. How do we strategically remove 300 to 400 calories from our diet without feeling like we're missing anything? It's not about eating tiny portions of chicken and broccoli and being miserable. It's about being a detective and finding the calorie culprits that are hiding in plain sight, offering very little nutritional value or satiety in return. The first place to look is at your liquids. Liquid calories are the silent assassins of fat loss. A 20-ounce bottle of soda is about 240 calories of pure sugar. That fancy caramel frappuccino you grab on the way to work? That can be over 400 calories. A glass of orange juice? 110 calories. A couple of beers after work? 300 calories or more. These drinks slip down easily, they don't fill you up, and they can add up to a full meal's worth of calories before you've even eaten a bite of solid food. Simply swapping these for water, black coffee, unsweetened tea, or diet soda is often the single easiest and most impactful change you can make. You can eliminate hundreds of calories from your day with zero effort and without sacrificing any real feelings of fullness. Next, we hunt for the high-calorie, low-satiety foods. These are the foods that pack a huge calorie punch in a very small package, and they leave you hungry an hour later. Think potato chips, cookies, pastries, and candy. You can eat 1,000 calories of chips and still feel like you could go for more. Why? Because they're engineered to be hyperpalatable. A perfect storm of salt, fat, and refined carbs that bypasses your body's natural fullness cues. But here's the key. This isn't about banning these foods forever. That's a recipe for failure. It's about making smart swaps. It's a game of substitution, not elimination. Instead of a bag of potato chips, you could have a massive bowl of air-popped popcorn seasoned with your favorite spices for a fraction of the calories and a ton more fiber and volume. Instead of using mayonnaise or sour cream, which are basically pure fat, you can use plain, non-fat Greek yogurt. It has a similar creamy texture and tangy flavor, but it's packed with protein that will actually keep you full. You just saved 150 calories and added 15 grams of muscle-preserving protein with one simple swap. Instead of drenching your salad in a creamy ranch dressing, which can have more calories than the salad itself, use a light vinaigrette, or even just lemon juice, vinegar, and herbs. Instead of a bowl of sugary breakfast cereal, have a bowl of oatmeal with berries. You'll get more fiber, more nutrients, and stay full for hours, not minutes. This is how you win. You find ways to get the same taste and satisfaction for fewer calories. But subtraction is only half the story. The real secret to feeling full and satisfied in a calorie deficit isn't just about what you take out. It's about what you add in. You want to build your meals around three key elements: protein, fiber, and volume. These are the three pillars of satiety. Protein is your number one ally in a fat loss phase. It is the most satiating of all the macronutrients. It makes you feel fuller for longer. Your body also has to work harder to digest protein, burning more calories in the process. This is called the thermic effect of food. And most critically, eating adequate protein while in a deficit tells your body to burn fat for fuel, not your hard-earned muscle. Aim to include a significant source of lean protein like chicken breast, fish, lean beef, eggs, tofu, or Greek yogurt with every single meal. Next is fiber. Fiber found in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes is incredible. It slows down digestion, which helps manage blood sugar levels and prevents energy crashes and cravings. It also physically swells in your stomach, taking up space and signaling to your brain that you're full. Think about it. You can eat a whole pound of broccoli for just 150 calories. That's a lot of food. It will physically fill your stomach. Compare that to a single tablespoon of olive oil, which is also about 120 calories. One will leave you stuffed, the other you won't even notice. This brings us to the concept of volume eating. You want to fill your plate with foods that have a low calorie density, that is, a lot of volume and weight for very few calories. Vegetables are the undisputed champion here. A giant salad with leafy greens, cucumbers, tomatoes, and bell peppers can be visually and physically enormous, but have fewer than 100 calories. By starting every meal with a big salad or a bowl of vegetable-based soup, you can half fill your stomach before you even get to the more calorie-dense items, making it far easier to control your portions and feel satisfied. By focusing on adding protein, fiber, and volume, you crowd out the less nutritious, more calorie-dense foods naturally. You're not white-knuckling it through starvation. You're eating big, delicious, satisfying meals that just happen to be lower in calories. That is the essence of a sustainable approach. It's a shift from a mindset of restriction to a mindset of strategic abundance. We've built the framework for our budget. We know the size of our deficit and the strategies to create it without feeling miserable. But now the most important question remains. What do we spend those calories on? How do we allocate our budget between the big three: protein, carbs, and fats, to optimize fat loss, preserve muscle, and feel amazing? Because not all calories are created equal. When we talk about calories, you can think of it as your body's daily budget. But the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, are the employees you hire with that budget. Each one has a very specific and very different job description. And if you want to run a successful operation, that is, a lean, strong, energetic body, you need to hire the right team for the job. Get the team wrong and you get chaos. You get fatigue, uncontrollable hunger, and muscle loss. Get the team right, and you get a well-oiled machine that burns fat, builds strength, and runs on clean, efficient energy. So let's meet the first and most important member of your team. The non-negotiable, all-star MVP of fat loss, protein. If your body is a construction project, protein is the foreman, the architect, and the entire crew of skilled laborers all rolled into one. His job is to build and repair. Everything from your muscles and organs to your hair and nails is made of protein. When you're in a calorie deficit, your body is in a state of breakdown. It's looking for energy, and it's not picky about where it gets it from. It will happily cannibalize your metabolically active muscle tissue for fuel if you let it. This is the single biggest mistake people make. They lose weight, but a huge chunk of that weight is muscle, not fat. This absolutely tanks their metabolism, making them weaker and ensuring that the moment they stop dieting, the fat comes roaring back, and then some. Eating enough protein is the loud, clear signal you send to your body that says, hands off the muscle. It acts as a protective shield for your lean mass, ensuring that the weight you lose is overwhelmingly from your fat stores. But its magic doesn't stop there. Protein has the highest thermic effect of food, or TEF. This is a fancy way of saying your body burns a significant number of calories just digesting and processing it. Up to 30% of the calories from protein are used up in this process. So, if you eat 100 calories from pure protein, your body only nets about 70 of those calories. It's like getting a metabolic rebate on every gram you eat. It's free fat loss. And maybe most importantly for day-to-day success, protein is by far the most satiating macronutrient. It crushes hunger. It triggers the release of hormones like peptide YY that tell your brain, we're full, we're satisfied, you can stop thinking about those cookies in the pantry. This isn't just a feeling. It's a powerful biological response. A high-protein breakfast of eggs can keep you feeling full for hours, whereas a breakfast of a sugary cereal or a plain bagel will have you ravenous by 10 a.m. So how much do you need? The science is clear. A fantastic starting point for fat loss is to aim for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal body weight. So if your goal is to weigh 160 pounds, you'd shoot for somewhere between 112 and 160 grams of protein per day. This is your number one priority. Fill your protein bucket first. Next up, let's talk about the most misunderstood employee dietary fat. For decades, we were told a lie. A simple, catchy, and devastatingly wrong lie. Eating fat makes you fat. This led to an entire generation of fat-phobic consumers and an entire industry of disgusting, sugar-laden, low-fat products. The truth is, dietary fat doesn't make you fat. A chronic excess of calories makes you fat. In fact, cutting your fat intake too low is one of the fastest ways to sabotage your health and your fat loss goals. If protein is the construction crew, fat is the head of human resources in the entire IT department. It doesn't build the physical structure, but it handles all the critical behind-the-scenes communication that allows the company to function. Your entire hormonal system, the master control system of your body, is built on a foundation of dietary fat. Hormones that control your metabolism, your stress levels, your sex drive, like testosterone and estrogen, are all synthesized from cholesterol and fat. When you slash your fat intake, you are pulling the raw materials for your hormonal factory. The result? Your energy plummets, your mood goes haywire, your libido vanishes, and your body starts fighting you every step of the way. Furthermore, certain essential vitamins, A, D, and K, are fat-soluble. This means your body literally cannot absorb them without the presence of fat. You could be eating the most nutrient-dense salad in the world, full of vibrant, colorful vegetables. But if you put a fat-free dressing on it, you're missing out on absorbing a huge portion of those powerful nutrients. A little olive oil, a few slices of avocado, or a sprinkle of nuts and seeds is what unlocks the full nutritional potential of your food. So what's the target? A healthy and sustainable range for fat intake is between 20% and 30% of your total daily calories. A simpler rule of thumb is to aim for about 0.3 to 0.4 grams of fat per pound of your goal body weight. This ensures your hormonal systems are running smoothly, you're absorbing your nutrients, and just as importantly, your food actually tastes good, which is critical for sticking with any plan long-term. Finally, we arrive at the most demonized and controversial employee on the payroll: carbohydrates. We're told they spike insulin, the fat storage hormone, and that they're the root of all evil. The low-carb keto craze has convinced millions that to lose fat, you must eliminate bread, potatoes, fruit, and anything else that dares to contain a carb. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how the human body works. Carbohydrates are your body's energy and logistics crew. They are the high-octane premium fuel for your brain and your muscles. While your body can run on other sources, like ketones from fat, it's not its preferred or most efficient way to power high-intensity activity. Carbs are what fuel your workouts, allowing you to push harder, lift heavier, and build more muscle. They're what allow your brain to focus and perform complex tasks. Removing them entirely often leads to brain fog, lethargy, and miserable, unproductive workouts. And what about insulin? Yes, carbs raise insulin. That is literally insulin's job. Insulin is a shuttle. It takes the glucose from the carbs you ate and shuttles it to your muscle and liver cells to be stored as glycogen, your body's readily accessible energy reserve. This is a good thing. It's how you refuel after a workout. The problem isn't insulin itself. The problem is a chronic calorie surplus combined with a sedentary lifestyle and a diet of hyper-processed, low-fiber junk. In that scenario, the glycogen stores are already full, and yes, the excess energy is more likely to be stored as fat. But in a calorie deficit, when you are exercising and creating a demand for that energy, insulin is your friend. It helps drive nutrients, including the amino acids from your protein, into your muscle cells to aid in recovery and repair. The secret is to see carbs not as an enemy, but as a flexible tool, a lever. Once you have your two non-negotiable targets set, your high protein goal and your essential fat minimum, carbohydrates are what you use to fill in the rest of your daily calorie budget. This is what makes your nutrition plan adaptable. On a hard training day, you might have more carbs to fuel and recover. On a rest day, you might have fewer. The focus should be on high fiber, complex carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, oats, quinoa, beans, fruits, and vegetables. These foods digest slowly, provide sustained energy, and feed the healthy bacteria in your gut. So let's put it all together in a simple 3-step framework. Step 1. Set your protein. This is your anchor. Aim for 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. For a 180-pound goal, that's 180 grams of protein. Step 2. Set your fats. This is your hormonal foundation. Aim for 0.4 grams per pound of goal body weight. For that same 180-pound goal, that's 72 grams of fat. Step 3. Fill the rest with carbs. This is your energy lever. Let's do the math for a 2,200 calorie budget. 180 grams of protein is 720 calories. 72 grams of fat is 648 calories. That's a total of 1,368 calories. Your remaining budget is 2,200 minus 1,368, which equals 832 calories. You divide that by 4, the number of calories in a gram of carbs, and you get your target, 208 grams of carbohydrates. Your daily blueprint becomes 180 grams of protein, 72 grams of fat, and 208 grams of carbs. This isn't a rigid prison. It's a powerful, flexible starting point. It's a structure built on the principles of science, designed for muscle retention, hormonal health, and sustainable energy. You've now hired the perfect team for your body's company. But knowing these numbers is one thing. Translating them into actual food on a plate, day after day, without living on a spreadsheet or wanting to tear your hair out, that's a completely different challenge. How do we turn this nutritional blueprint into a simple, delicious, and sustainable reality? The answer is to stop thinking like a dieter and start thinking like an architect. You don't build a house by staring at a pile of bricks and lumber and hoping for the best. You start with a blueprint, a simple, repeatable visual guide that tells you where everything goes. For our food, this blueprint is something I call the perfect plate method. It's a visual framework so simple you can use it for almost any meal, anywhere, without ever opening a calorie tracking app again. Imagine your dinner plate. Not a giant platter, just a normal-sized plate. Now draw an imaginary line down the middle. Half of that plate, a full 50% of the real estate, belongs to non-starchy vegetables. This is your foundation for volume and nutrients. We're talking about broccoli, spinach, asparagus, bell peppers, cauliflower, zucchini, mushrooms, a massive salad. This half of the plate is where you get to eat an abundance of food. It's packed with fiber, water, vitamins, and minerals, all for a ridiculously low calorie cost. This is what fills your stomach, signals to your brain that you're full, and crowds out the more calorie-dense foods without you even trying. You want to lose weight while eating more? This is how. You fill half your plate with color and life. Now look at the other half of the plate. Divide that section in two, creating 2 quarters. The first of these quarters, making up 25% of your total plate, is for your lean protein. This is your anchor. This is the non-negotiable cornerstone of a fat loss meal. A palm-sized portion of grilled chicken, baked salmon, lean ground turkey, a couple of eggs, or a hearty scoop of lentils, chickpeas, or tofu. This protein anchor does 3 critical jobs. First, it's the most satiating macronutrient, meaning it keeps you feeling fuller for longer than anything else. Second, it has a higher thermic effect of food, meaning your body actually burns more calories just digesting it. And third, most importantly, it provides the essential amino acids your body needs to preserve and even build lean muscle while you're in a calorie deficit. This ensures you're losing fat, not just weight. That leaves us with the final quarter of the plate. This is where your smart, fiber-rich carbohydrates live. This is not the enemy. This is your energy source. This is what fuels your workouts, powers your brain, and makes meals satisfying and delicious. We're talking about a fist-sized portion of things like quinoa, brown rice, sweet potato, oats, or whole grain pasta. Notice the theme? These are complex, slow-digesting carbs that are packed with fiber. They provide a steady release of energy, unlike the sugary, refined carbs that spike your blood sugar and leave you crashing and craving more an hour later. By keeping the portion to about a quarter of the plate, you're getting all the benefits of carbohydrates without over-consuming the calories. Finally, we add the finishing touch: a healthy fat. This isn't a whole section of the plate, but an addition. Think of it as a thumb-sized portion. This could be a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil on your salad, a quarter of an avocado, a small sprinkle of nuts or seeds. Fats are essential for hormone production, brain health, and absorbing certain vitamins. They also add incredible flavor and mouthfeel, which is a huge part of feeling satisfied with your meal. This small, intentional addition turns a good meal into a great one. So let's visualize it. A beautiful plate. Half of it is piled high with roasted broccoli and red bell peppers. 1/4 holds a perfectly grilled salmon fillet. The other quarter has a scoop of nutty, fluffy quinoa. And a few slices of creamy avocado are sitting right on top. Is that a diet meal? Does that sound like deprivation? No. That is a powerful, satisfying, fat-burning meal. And you didn't have to weigh a single thing. This blueprint works for everything. For breakfast, your plate is a bowl. The protein anchor is Greek yogurt or protein powder. The carbs are your oats or berries. The fats are a sprinkle of chia seeds or walnuts. For lunch, a massive salad bowl. The vegetables are the bed of spinach and chopped veggies. The protein is the grilled chicken on top. The carbs might be a handful of chickpeas thrown in. The fat is your olive oil-based vinaigrette. You see? It's a flexible system, not a rigid set of rules. It's about shifting your entire perspective. You no longer walk into the kitchen wondering, what can't I eat? Instead you ask, how do I build my perfect plate? You start by asking, where's my protein? Where are my veggies? You build your meal around the most important, satiating, and nutrient-dense components first. The carbs and fats are then added in their proper proportions. This automatically and effortlessly controls your calories and manages your macros without the mental gymnastics of counting. This approach liberates you from the tyranny of numbers. Because let's be honest, life is not a spreadsheet. Some days you'll be hungrier. Some days you'll be less active. The plate method allows for that. It teaches you to listen to your body and eyeball portions, a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. It's about building intuition, not dependency on an app. And what about snacks? The same principle applies, just on a smaller scale. The goal of a snack is to bridge the gap to your next meal, not become a meal in itself. So you pair a protein with a fiber source, an apple with a tablespoon of peanut butter, a hard-boiled egg, a small container of Greek yogurt, a handful of almonds. These combinations stabilize your blood sugar, crush cravings, and keep your energy levels steady, preventing you from showing up to your next meal so ravenous that your perfect plate turns into 3 imperfect ones. This is the bridge from knowing what to do to actually doing it, day in, day out. It's a sustainable practice, not a short-term fix. It's about creating a lifestyle of building balanced, beautiful, and satisfying meals that serve your goals without taking over your life. It's a skill. And like any skill, it gets easier and more automatic with practice. Soon you won't even have to think about it. You'll just see your plate and you'll know. But building this perfect plate in the safety of your own kitchen is one thing. But what happens when the real world intervenes? What happens when you're faced with a restaurant menu that looks like a minefield? Or when you're at a holiday dinner, a Super Bowl party, or a stressful week at work throws your entire routine into chaos? How do you handle social pressure, navigate temptations, and bounce back when you inevitably slip up, without letting one bad meal turn into a bad week or a bad month. How do you truly make this last for a lifetime? Let's start with that first hurdle, the social gauntlet. Because let's be honest, it's easy to eat healthy when you're alone in your perfectly controlled kitchen. But what happens when your best friend's birthday dinner is at an Italian restaurant famous for its breadbasket and 4-cheese pasta? What about the holiday season, office parties, or the summer barbecue circuit? This is where diets die. But it's where a sustainable lifestyle thrives. The secret isn't to become a hermit. It's to have a plan. First, become a menu detective. Before you even leave the house, look up the restaurant's menu online. Don't wait until you're starving and surrounded by the smell of garlic bread to make a decision. Identify 2 or 3 healthy, satisfying options ahead of time. Look for words like grilled, steamed, baked, or roasted. Be wary of creamy, fried, crispy, or battered. By making the decision in a calm, rational state, you preempt the pressure of the moment. Second, control what you can. If you're going to a potluck or a barbecue, offer to bring a dish. Don't bring a tiny, sad-looking salad. Bring a massive, delicious, protein-packed salad with an amazing dressing. Or bring perfectly grilled chicken skewers, or a vibrant fruit platter. This way, you guarantee there's at least one fantastic, healthy option you can load your plate with, taking the pressure off the rest of the food. And third, reframe the entire experience. A social gathering is about the people, the connection, the conversation. It's not a food-eating contest. Focus your energy on the person across from you, not just the plate in front of you. Eat slowly. Savor each bite. Put your fork down between bites and actually engage in the conversation. You'll find you feel full and satisfied with less food. And you'll enjoy the event more because you were truly present. Don't announce you're on a diet. If someone offers you something you don't want, a simple, "No thanks, I'm good for now," is all you need. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices. Navigating temptation isn't just about social events. It's about the daily battle in your own mind and your own home. This is where environmental design becomes your superpower. The single most effective strategy for avoiding junk food is to not have it in your house. It sounds ridiculously simple, but it's profoundly effective. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. You might be able to resist the cookies in the pantry after dinner on Monday, but by Thursday, when you're tired, stressed, and had a long day, that same box of cookies will be calling your name. Don't rely on willpower to save you. Set up your environment to protect you. Make the healthy choice the easy choice. This means curating your kitchen. Your fridge should be full of pre-cut vegetables, washed fruits, grilled chicken, and hard-boiled eggs. Your pantry should have nuts, seeds, protein powder, and whole grains front and center. The junk food? Just don't buy it. If your family insists, create a designated junk food drawer or a specific shelf that is off-limits to you. Out of sight, out of mind. Conversely, make healthy foods hyper-visible. Keep a beautiful bowl of fresh fruit on your counter. Have a pitcher of infused water in the front of your fridge. When you're slightly hungry and looking for a quick snack, you'll grab what's easiest and most visible. Make that a healthy option. But what about cravings? They happen. The key is to have a plan for them. When a craving hits, don't just try to ignore it with sheer force of will. Instead, use the delay and distract technique. Tell yourself, "Okay, I can have that, but I'm going to wait 15 minutes first." Then go do something else. Go for a quick walk, call a friend, tidy up a room, or drink a large glass of water. More often than not, by the time the 15 minutes are up, the intensity of the craving will have passed. And if it hasn't, allow for a mindful indulgence. Have a small measured portion of what you're craving. Sit down, eat it slowly, and enjoy every single bite without guilt. This isn't failure, it's balance. It's what makes this sustainable. Now for the most important skill of all, the art of the bounce back. Because you will slip up. You will have a day where you eat the pizza, the cake, and the ice cream. You'll miss a workout. This is not a possibility, it's a guarantee. And in that moment you have a choice. You can fall into the all-or-nothing trap, the single most destructive mindset in weight loss. This is the voice that says, "Well, I've already ruined my day, so I might as well eat a whole pint of ice cream and start over on Monday." This thinking is a catastrophe. It's like getting a single flat tire and deciding to slash the other 3. It makes no logical sense. One meal did not make you overweight, and one off-plan meal will not undo your progress. The key is to shrink the timeline. Your journey is not defined by a single day. It's not even defined by a single meal. is defined by what you do next. I want you to adopt the next meal mentality. The moment you finish a meal that wasn't aligned with your goals, your slate is wiped clean. It's over. It's in the past. The only thing that matters now is your next meal. Don't try to compensate by starving yourself. Don't punish yourself with an extra hour of cardio. Just get right back on track with your very next choice. Have a glass of water. And for your next meal, eat a plate full of protein and vegetables. That's it. That's the whole secret. The people who succeed long-term are not the ones who never mess up. They are the ones who get back on track the fastest. They don't let a bad meal turn into a bad day, or a bad day turn into a bad week. They just focus on making the next right choice. Ditch the guilt. Guilt is a useless emotion that keeps you stuck in the past. Replace it with grace and a forward-looking focus. So, how do we tie all this together and make it last for a lifetime? You have to stop seeing this as a diet. A diet is a temporary state of being with a finish line. This is not that. This is a shift in your identity. You stop saying, "I'm on a diet," and you start believing, "I am a healthy person. I am someone who values my body. I am an active individual." Your identity informs your actions. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't have to use willpower to go to the gym. It's just what they do. They don't have to force themselves to eat vegetables. They do it because it aligns with who they are. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's built brick by brick, with every small positive choice you make. Every time you choose the stairs, you cast a vote for, "I am an active person." Every time you add spinach to your smoothie, you cast a vote for, "I am a healthy person." To make this identity stick, celebrate non-scale victories. Your weight will fluctuate. It is an unreliable narrator of your progress. Instead, focus on the things that truly matter. Your energy levels are higher. Your clothes fit better. You can play with your kids without getting out of breath. You're sleeping more soundly. Your skin looks clearer. You feel more confident. These are the real rewards. Keep a journal of these victories. They are the fuel that will keep you going when the scale is being stubborn. Ultimately, this entire journey is about finding what works for you. It's about building a life that you don't need a vacation from. A way of eating that is so enjoyable and satisfying that you don't feel the need to cheat. It's about consistency, not perfection. It's about self-compassion, not self-criticism. Forget the quick fixes and the 30-day challenges. Think in terms of years of decades. Build habits slowly. Find movement you love. Eat food that nourishes you and makes you feel good. Learn to navigate the real world, forgive yourself when you stumble, and always get back up. This is not about reaching a destination. It's about building a better, stronger, more vibrant version of yourself, one meal, one workout, one choice at a time. This is how you go beyond the hype. This is how you achieve sustainable results that last a lifetime.